Fourth Tribe Entertainment.
It's gonna be a new day. It's gonna be a new way. You must think that you're our king. YAH'S Fourth Tribe ENT. It's gonna be a new day. It's the beginning of a new way. You could never be our king. YAH'S rep Yah with me. It's the dawn of 400 years. 400 years since we shed our first tears. 400 years since my ancestors slain. 400 years since we all knew his name. 400 in this land, Babylon. The bases of many kings. Yah's name is gone. We are the mighty YAH'S.
Praise Yah, 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 YISraEL, 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 praise Yah, praise Yah, praise Yah, praise Yah, now praise Yah, 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 yeah. Praise Yah, praise Yah. Righteousness have to be earned. A curse will come up on you with his words you won't confirm. Praise Yah, praise Yah. Created day and the night don't go to left or the right. Call Yah Sabbath for the light. Praise Yah, praise Yah. With all your voices you must sing. The Yah's are Elohim. Next to him there is no kings. Praise Yah, praise Yah. The mighty Yah has no flaws. And all of my companions, those who fear and keep his laws. Praise Yah. Praise the Most High Yah who saved the soul of this dead man. Show me who I am, give me the chance to see that good land. No blessings bundle, you fumble, you crumble. A light to the nation among us. Life goes the meek and the humble. Angels seem to surround me just like a cummerbund. No need to boast up with my tongue. Know where my blessings from the Most High Yahweh. His laws I keep inside me. It's sweetness to my soul. You hate them, your heads are rolled. In the midst of the wilderness, to scorn this day will cease to prosper. To them, y'all truthers like a lion to a lion prophet. My last saga's like a Tyson mixed with customada. Knock out Christ Muhammad and give my holy Yah his honor. My Abba Father, Yah, my college and my alma mater. To keep his praise going, I cannot go down in silence. So follow after men so they don't want war. Praise the mighty Yah, he give you something to boast for. Praise Yah. Righteousness have to be earned. A curse will come up on you with his words you won't confirm. Praise Yah. Created day and the night don't go to left or the right. Call Yah Sabbath for the light. Praise Yah. With all your voices you must sing. The Yah's are Elohim. Next to him there is no kings. Praise Yah. The mighty Yah has no flaws. And all of my companions, those who fear and keep his laws. Praise Yah. I love Yah because he heard my voice and supplications. Inclined his ear to me and severed us from other nations. Walked in the midst of death, wicked what the chances given. That's why I praise the mighty Yah as long as I'm living. My ways of Yah, I will show that all my works were worthless. Walked in the statues of my Yah cause all his ways are perfect. Adored, sweet as honey, so you have to love it. Not bread alone, by every word. That's how we govern. 7 covenants you bless if you know to name them. Circumcision comes up first, is what he gave to Abram. Second, YAH'S fell into some bad habits. That's what you are if you forsake the almighty Sabbath. Don't take for granted that it's written in the 10 Commandments. You must love it to be inside his new covenant. No expiration of the kingdom of his servant David. Yah's is forever hollow, covenant day and night. Follow. Righteousness have to be earned. A curse will come up on you with his words you won't confirm. Praise Yah. Created day and the night don't go to left or the right. Call Yah Sabbath for the light. Praise Yah. With all your voices you must sing. The Yah's are Elohim. Next to him there is no kings. Praise Yah. The mighty Yah has no flaws. And all of my companions, those who fear and keep his laws. Praise Yah. Now 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 praise Yah. Hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah.
Ooh, yeah, yeah, yeah. We gon' fight, yeah. We gon' fight, yeah.
Yeah. Arise, shine, for that light has come. The glory of Yah has risen up on this sun.
Shalom, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, giving all praise and honor to the Holy One of Israel, to the Creator of the heaven, the earth, the sea, and all that is therein is, by saying hallelujah. Praise the mighty Yah. Yah is righteous. Yah is holy. And let Yahweh be magnified. Once again, the Creator has allowed us to come before you another day, another night, bringing to you his great, holy, and exalted words, even the words of truth. My name is Mowreh IshYAH, YIsraEL, of the house of Israel, located right here in Cincinnati, Ohio, 1907 Vine Street, bringing to you nothing but the truth. And yes, it is true. All we're going to do is tell you the truth. For Yah ordained me to tell you the truth, and this is what I'm going to do. And who is this Yah? Yah is the creator of the heaven, the earth, the sea, and all that is therein is. Yah is the Elohim of our fathers, the Elohim of Abraham, Yitzhak, and YIsraEL, whom you may know as Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Yah is our king, he's our judge, he's our lawgiver, and Yah is our only Savior, and not just of Israel. Yah is the Savior of the world. And we praise Yah for allowing us to come before you once again, bringing to you his great, holy, and exalted words. Tonight, we will be dealing with the purpose of marriage again, but we'll be incorporating the purpose of marriage 3, 4, and 5. And yes, it is true that our beloved Mowreh, who did an excellent job last night on the purpose of marriage 3 last night. And we're just going to recap a little bit on that. But as we recap on the purpose of marriage number 3, we will incorporate 4 and 5. But it's dawning on me, though, that really, I don't think people really understand truly the purpose of marriage and how just this very thing alone has thrown the whole course or the whole earth out of course. And I just want you to see how instrumental marriage is and how Yahweh sees marriage. Most people don't even know what the word marriage means, and we're going to bring it to you. But the first thing I want you to see is how impactful, how instrumental this is to the earth, and why the whole earth is totally out of course today. Watch what the Creator let us know in the book of Genesis, the 6th chapter. Let us turn there for a second. And we're dealing with the purpose of marriage. What happened in Genesis 6. In the book of Genesis, the 6th chapter, in the book of Genesis 6. And we're going to start reading at the very first verse. Genesis 6:1. And it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters was born to them, that the sons of Elohim saw the daughters of men that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. And Yahweh said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh. Yet his days shall be 120 years. And there were giants in the earth in those days. And also after that, when the sons of Elohim came into the daughters of men, and they bore children to them, the same became mighty men, which were of old men of renown. And Yahweh saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And it repented Yahweh that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. And Yahweh said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast and creeping things and fowls of the air, for it repents me that I've made them. So here in the book of Genesis, the 6th chapter, we see that when the sons of Elohim saw the daughters of men and that they were fair, that they began to take wives of all that they chose. In other words, there was no purpose, there was no validity, there was no importance or essence to them taking these women. They just took women of all they chose. I choose you, I choose you, I choose you, but there was no purpose behind this thing. And what did Yahweh do? Since his sons began to do this thing, well, let me tell you what Yahweh did. He destroyed the earth by flood. That's how important marriage is. That's how important the purpose of marriage is. Let me show you another reason why the institution of marriage is an institution of life itself. It's not just a relationship between a man and woman, but this is an institution of life. And when this is out of course, when marriage is out of course, life itself is out of course. Now, let me show you this. I want you to see what this thing does, how impactful it is to the earth. And we're going to read the book of Isaiah 24. Isaiah 24. One second. In the book of Isaiah 24, we're going to start reading at the very first verse. Again, we're talking about the purpose of marriage. And this is what it says. The first verse, behold, Yahweh makes the earth empty. And why would Yahweh do this? And makes it waste. And why? What do the word waste mean? Meaning he has destroyed it and turns it upside down. And why would Yahweh do something like that to his creation? And scatters abroad the inhabitants thereof. And it shall be as with the people, so with the priest, as with the servant, so with his master, as with the maid, so with her mistress, as with the buyer, so with the seller, as with the lender, so with the borrower, as with the taker of usury, so with the giver of usury to him. The land shall be utterly empty, utterly spoiled, for Yahweh has spoken this word. And what is the word that Yahweh has spoken? What is Yahweh letting us know? The earth mourns and fades away. The world languishes and fades away. The haughty people of the earth do languish. And watch what Yahweh said in the 5th verse. The earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance, broken the everlasting covenant. Therefore has the curse devoured the earth, and they that dwell therein are desolate. Therefore the inhabitants of the earth are burned, and few men left. And this is where we are today, because the earth is languishing. But why? And it's because of the inhabitants of the earth. The laws are being transgressed. The ordinances are being changed. And the everlasting covenant is broken. But what do you think this everlasting covenant is? What law do you think is being transgressed? And what ordinance do you think are being changed? Well, let me tell you, there's no greater ordinance, there's no greater law, there's no greater covenant than the institution and the purpose of marriage. You see what Yahweh did in the book of Genesis, the 6th chapter. He destroyed the earth by flood as a result of his sons taking on the daughter of men. But the earth is languishing once again. And why? Because now the people are defiling it again. The inhabitants of the earth have taken what Yahweh meant for good, and they have turned it to be degenerate. Look at the earth today. Could you even imagine a day where the world powers would allow a man to marry another man? A woman to marry another woman? Do you think that's why Yahweh purposed the earth? Not at all. He said he made man in his image and after his likeness. And he gave that man various laws, covenants, ordinances that they were to live by. And we're going to see exactly what that is. But man took it upon himself and said, we're not going to keep the everlasting covenant. We're going to change these ordinances. And we're going to transgress the laws. And what type of people would do such a thing? Well, Yahweh said what type of people these are. They're haughty. They're haughty people. People who refuse to bend their necks, refuse to humble theirself. And now the earth is totally defiled through the institution of marriage. Now ask yourself, here it is, somebody can tell you It's not good to smoke cigarettes, and you won't do it. It's not good to smoke crack, and you won't do it. It's not good to run out into traffic. But Yahweh said it is not good for man to be alone. So I made him a helpmate. And here it is. Yahweh said it's not good for man to be alone, but man will find every excuse in the world not to find his mate, not to find his counterpart, not to enter into the good union that Yahweh had made from the beginning. And I may add, it's not the sister's fault. It is the men. That's why in the book of Isaiah 24, he said it will be few men left because Yahweh gave them the authority to do this thing. But no, it was a bunch of men that made laws that say a man can marry another man. It was a bunch of men that allow abortion clinics to go all over the country and the world to kill your babies. Even if you couldn't kill it here in the United States of America, you can still go to Canada. You can still go to other places and kill the baby, and it will be lawful and right. Where do you think babies come from? They come from a man and a woman. And it's supposed to come from the institution of marriage. What do you think the purpose of marriage is? And I'm going to show you marriage is not just an institution that is between a man and a woman. I'm going to show you that this institution is life itself. This is why Yahweh don't even want to have nothing to do with the earth once this institution becomes corrupted. Watch what the Creator show us. In the book of Genesis, the first chapter. And we dealing with the purpose of marriage, number 3, 4, and 5. And let me tell you what 3, 4, and 5 is. And as I stated before, our beautiful Mowreh did an excellent job last night in bringing out the word fruitful, which comes from the Hebrew word parah, which means to bring forth. And that is purpose of marriage, number 3. And how can you bring forth anything and you're not laboring to bring forth nothing? You're not working to bring forth nothing. And the thing that you're supposed to bring forth is something that must be multiplied. Nothing from nothing is nothing. So you got to be doing something in order for it to multiply. And what is this thing that Yahweh wants you to do? And let me tell you what it is. Let me tell you what the word fruitful also means. It means to plant. And what are you planting? Your seed. Not only are you planting your seed, how do you think all the other creatures multiply? By planting their seed. How do you think the trees and the plants and all they multiply? Yeah, by their seed. How do you think knowledge is multiplied? By planting the seed of knowledge. Because the institution of marriage, the purpose of marriage It's the institution of life itself. Why you think Yahweh said it's not good for a man to be alone? Watch this in the book of Genesis. I said the first chapter, but I want to read the second chapter first. Then we're going to go right to the first chapter. In the book of Genesis, the second chapter, watch what the Creator let us know. The 18th verse, this is what it says. And Yahweh Elohim said, it is not good that man should be alone. But we act like Yahweh wrong and we right. No, Yahweh is the one right. I don't care. Yeah, there's a time and a season for everything. So I understand when a man and a woman is not married today or not married tomorrow. But if that's not your purpose, if that's not your goal, then what good are you trying to do? Watch what it says. I will make him a helpmate for him. And I want you to see how Yahweh talk, how he speak. Out of the ground, Yahweh Elohim formed every beast of the field, every fowl of the air, and brought them to Adam to see what he would call them. And whatever Adam called every living creature, that was the name thereof. And Adam gave names to all the cattle, fowl of the air, beasts of the field. But for Adam, there was not found a helpmate for him. So in other words, Yahweh had found a mate for everything else. So the last of the Mohiyans that needed a counterpart, an establishment, something good, was Adam. And we know how Yahweh gave him this good thing. The only reason we see this as bad today, well, I'll show you. I'll let you read why our people are brainwashed to believe that this is something that's by choice. Yeah, by choice I get married. By choice I'm gonna have a boy and a girl. By choice I'm gonna have 2 sons and 2 daughters. By choice I'm gonna just have a bunch of boys. No, that's not your choice at all. And I'm gonna show you the blessings of Yahweh. Watch what it says. Now go back to Genesis, the first chapter, because I wanted you to see that everything has something. Here it is. We talk about the 7 everlasting covenants that Yahweh made with Israel. But what we haven't brought to you is the covenants that Yahweh made with the world. And this is the very first covenant that Yahweh made with the inhabitants of the earth, the whole world. Watch what he says in the book of Genesis, the first chapter. Or let me say the earth, because I don't know what they're doing in the sea or in heaven, but with the earth I do. In the book of Genesis, the first chapter, this is what it says. Well, Yahweh is going to let you know what they did, even in the sea. Watch this, the 21st verse. And Elohim created great whales and every living creature that moves, which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind, every winged fowl after his kind. And Elohim saw that it was good, because this is how life itself revolve. 22nd verse. And Elohim blessed them, saying, be fruitful, which is number 3. In other words, bring forth and multiply. Because just because you being fruitful, that don't mean that your seed is going to multiply. The first time it may not. You see many creatures today, they have these little eggs they might have on the beach, buried in the sand. And then, lo and behold, you have hundreds of frogs or hundreds of turtles just born, coming out the sand, but racing to the water because they just been introduced to life. But you know what? You got a bunch of creatures waiting for them to hatch, and not all of them make it. And if one of those creatures are lucky, none of them will make it. Here you got a bunch of birds sitting on some eggs up in the trees, and next thing you know, the bird fly away. But you know who waiting for the birds to fly away? Another creature waiting to zap them eggs. Because just because you're fruitful, that don't mean you're going to multiply. But this is what the purpose of being fruitful is all about. Watch what it says. And Elohim blessed them, saying, be fruitful and multiply, which is the fourth purpose of marriage. And fill the waters and the seas, and let the fowl multiply in the earth. In other words, purpose of marriage, 3, 4, and 5. We said 3 was come from the Hebrew word parah, which means to be fruitful, means to bring forth. But to multiply come from the Hebrew word rabbah, which means to increase, means to multiply. And then the Hebrew word for fill is malah. So not only we have parah, rabbah, and palah, which means to fill the waters, or to fill the earth, or to fill the heavens. Because where in the world you think the birds will fly? In the open firmament of heaven. Now do you understand how the purpose of marriage is also dealing with the purpose of life itself? Furthermore, not just Genesis 1 and 22, watch what it says in the book of Genesis 1 and 28. And Elohim blessed them. And Elohim said unto them, be fruitful. In other words, bring forth. And multiply, which means to increase. And fill the earth and subdue it. And have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moves upon the earth. Because now he's talking about man. How can you have a marriage that is not purpose for all these things? I don't care if you get married in your old age. What do that mean to Yahweh? Yahweh had a servant of his that brought forth seed when he was 100 years old. A servant and his daughter that brought forth seed when she was 90 years old. Who know the way of Yahweh. Because this is the purpose of marriage. And not only marriage, it's the purpose of life itself. How can you have life without being fruitful, without multiplying, and without filling the earth? That makes no sense. In other words, your whole purpose will be to become extinct. And who want to become extinct? And here it is, that our people so brainwashed, they will have you to believe that it was a bunch of dinosaurs that was here at one time and they became extinct. Well, if you follow the laws of the Most High, if you don't change the ordinances of the Most High, if you don't break the everlasting covenant of Yahweh, how in the world can you become extinct? When you are being fruitful, multiplying, and filling the earth like all the other creatures. That's like the birds becoming extinct. That's like the fish in the sea becoming extinct, or man becoming extinct. But they will have you to believe that a bunch of dinosaurs that lived 1 million years ago, they became extinct. Well, they should have became extinct if they weren't following the laws of the Most High. Watch what it says in the book of Genesis, the 8th chapter. And this is what it says. (16th and 17th verse). Bring forth with you every living thing that is with you, of all flesh, both of fowl, of cattle, of every creeping thing that creeps upon the earth, that they may breed abundantly in the earth, and be fruitful and multiply upon the earth. Because this is exactly what Yahweh wanted in the earth. He wanted on the earth the essence of life. He didn't want the earth decreasing. He wanted the earth increasing. And so Yahweh blessed the earth so that it might increase. And not just in Genesis, the 8th chapter. Watch what it says in the book of Genesis, the 9th chapter. And we're talking about the purpose of marriage. Number 3, 4, and 5. And what is 3, 4, and 5? To be fruitful, to multiply, and to fill the earth. And not just, this is not just the purpose of marriage. This is the purpose of life itself. Watch what it says. Genesis 9:1. And Elohim blessed Noah and his sons and said to them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth, upon every fowl of the air, upon all that moves upon the earth, and upon all the fishes of the sea. Into your hand are they delivered. Every moving thing that lives shall be food for you, even as the green herb have I given you all things. Yeah, how you going to have food and nothing is being fruitful? Nothing is replenishing itself. Nothing is multiplying. Well, how you going to eat? How the fish going to eat? How the bees going to eat? How the cattle going to eat? Matter of fact, how you going to eat? Now, do you understand how this is the essence of life? So don't tell me you don't want to get married. Sure, you can live in the state of unholiness. That's why they call marriage holy matrimony. And the marriages today are not holy. This is why Yahweh destroyed the earth by flood, because of the nature of the type of marriages one of the first covenants that Yahweh made in the earth was the institution of marriage. Watch what it says. 4th verse. But the flesh with the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, shall you not eat. Surely your blood of your lives will I require. At the hand of every beast will I acquire it. And at the hand of man, at the hand of every man's brother, will I require the life of man. Whosoever sheds man blood, by man shall his blood be shed. For the image of Elohim made he man. And since he made man in his image, watch what Yahweh say in the 7th verse. And you be fruitful, and you and multiply, and you bring forth abundantly in the earth, and multiply therein. And it looks like to me that Yahweh had great purpose for the earth, great purpose for the inhabitants of the earth. And it looks like man totally corrupted themselves in the earth. They living a life without the purposes of Elohim. You want to get married when you want to get married. You want to do what you want to do. You want to have how many kids you want to have. I just want two. Like you going to a meat market. Let me just get 2 pieces of meat. Let me get just 2 pieces of bread. Let me get 2. This is no meat market at all. This is the word of Yahweh. And let me show you why, so you can see for yourself why the whole course of the whole earth, rather, is out of course. And how man, or one of the reasons why man became so corrupted. And there's many reasons why, but this is one of the reasons why. And let me show you why. In the book of Exodus, the 1st chapter. And what we have done, we have handed this corrupted thing down to our children. Watch what it says. In the book of Exodus, the 1st chapter, the very first verse. Now these are the names of the children of Israel, which came into Egypt. Every man in his household came with Yaakov, Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Yehuda, Issachar, Zebulun, and Benjamin, Dan and Naphtali, Gad and Asher, and all the souls that came out of the loins of Jacob were 70 souls, for Joseph was already in Egypt. And watch this. I want you to see this. And Joseph died, and all his brothers, and all that generation. And the children of Israel were fruitful, as Yahweh told them to be, as Yahweh told the earth to be, and increased abundantly, and multiplied, and grew exceedingly mighty. Because that's what happened when you follow the orders of Yahweh. Because this is an ordinance. This is a law. And this is a covenant. Watch what it says. And the land was filled with them. Did not Yahweh say fill the earth? And that's exactly what they did. But look what happened as a result of the word of Yahweh. Look what happened. 8th verse. Now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not yourself. And he said to his people, behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, which means let us deal shrewdly with them. Lest they multiply, and it come to pass that when there falls out any war, they join also with our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. Therefore, they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens. And they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Ramesses. But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew. And they were grieved because of the children of Israel. Just because they were increasing. Just because they were multiplying. Just because they were becoming a nation. Egypt was already a nation. So why couldn't Israel become a nation? They walked in with 70 souls, and they wanted to become a nation like all the other nations. But Egypt did not want that. Just like America don't want you to multiply. So what will they do? They give you some pills that's called these pills stop you from having babies. They give you all kind of devices, and you done bought into it. Yeah, I don't want to have no baby, so let me take this pill. I don't want to have no baby, so let me put this device in my womb. I don't want to have no baby, so let me even cut off the supply line of my seed. What kind of brainwashed people would do such a thing? Israel. And then even if you don't do that, you will do something even worse. It's one thing to cut off the supply line of your seed. It's another thing to take a pill. It's another thing to put a device in your womb. But my goodness, you actually gonna kill the baby in you? To satisfy your enemies? Because that's all you're trying to do. You was brainwashed to do it. You didn't realize it was a blessing. So what they did is told you that it's a curse. Look, how you going to raise, you don't even got no money. How they going to go to school? How they going to do this? How they going to do that? And make you believe that your life is nothing just because you're increasing. Just because you're multiplying. Just because you're being fruitful. That came from your enemies and not Yahweh. This is why the whole earth is out of course today. Because the institution of marriage, the purpose of marriage, have been totally corrupted. And once you corrupt that, the whole earth now is corrupted. And Yahweh said he got to make a new heaven and a new earth. And why? Because we refuse to do what he said. Going back to the book of Genesis, Genesis, the 17th chapter. And the reason why we're going back to this, because the essence of life, the essence of the purpose of marriage is a blessing. If you follow Yahweh, you'll be blessed. But if you forsake Yahweh, the only thing you got coming is a curse. And watch what the Creator even lets us know in the book of Genesis, the 17th chapter. And we're talking about the purpose of marriage, number 3, 4, and 5. To be fruitful. How you going to be fruitful and you refuse to get out there to plant anything? How you think something going to grow in the ground and you never planted your seed? You never turned the ground up. How you going to be fruitful and you don't even have a plant nowhere to be seen? How you going to be fruitful and you're not even reading the book and studying? How you going to be fruitful without laboring and working? But once you begin to plant, once you begin to sow your seed, now you can multiply. And you're going to see the great blessings in multiplying. And once you multiply, now you can fill the earth. And what do you fill the earth with? With children, with beasts, with fish, with cattle, with things that you can eat, with things that you can use to labor with things that you can do all kind of things and everything you need to do in the earth. But without these 3 things, the purpose of marriage, 3, 4, and 5, the earth will be totally wasted, extinct, and not good for no one. Because nothing from nothing leaves nothing. Genesis 17, and watch what it says. The first verse. And when Abram was 90 years old and 9, that's why I told you, don't worry about your age. Be fruitful. Yahweh appeared to Abram and said to him, I am El Shaddai, the Almighty Elohim. Walk before me and be thou perfect. And how do you do that, Abram? And I will make my covenant between me and you, and will multiply you exceedingly. This was a blessing. And Abraham fell on his face. And Elohim talked with him, saying, as for me, behold, my covenant is with you, and you shall be a father of many nations. Neither shall your name anymore be called Abram, but your name shall be called Abraham, for a father of many nations have I made you. And I will make you exceedingly fruitful. Even when Abraham had a seed with his wife, who was 90 years old, he had many children after that. So he was well over 100 years having children. Watch what it says. I will make you exceedingly fruitful. And you can't have no children without being fruitful. There is no food without being fruitful. There is no cattle, goats, sheep, lambs, bullocks without being fruitful. There is no milk without being fruitful. There's no cheese without being fruitful. All these things come from being fruitful. And I will make you exceedingly fruitful. And I will make nations of you. And kings shall come out of you. And what type of kings? Because many kings came out of this Abraham. And let me show you what type of kings. Watch this. The 18th verse. And Abraham said to Elohim, oh, that Ishmael might live before you. And Elohim said, Sarah, your wife, shall bear you a son indeed, and you shall call his name Yitzhak or Isaac. And I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant, and with his seed after him. And as for Ishmael, I've heard you. Behold, I have blessed him and will make him fruitful. Because Ishmael came from Abraham's wife, Hagar. And he prayed for Ishmael. And this is what Yahweh said to Abraham. And as for Ishmael, I've heard you. Behold, I have blessed him and will make him fruitful and will multiply him exceedingly. 12 princes shall he beget. And I will make him a great nation. But my covenant will I establish with Isaac, which Sarah shall bear to you at this set time in the next year. So here, to be fruitful, 3. To multiply, 4. And to fill the earth, 5. Purposes of marriage. And we already brought to you that to even get to that point, you got to do something good. And what is this good thing? He that findeth a wife findeth a good thing and obtain favor of Yahweh. That's the good that Yahweh wants you to do. Then Yahweh wants you to establish oneness with this good thing. Because how can two walk together unless they be agreed? And sisters and brothers, you got to be agreed. And the way you become agreed, the way you become one, is to understand what marriage is. The word marriage in of itself means master. How can you be a master without having knowledge? You can understand being a master in karate. You can understand being a master in teaching. You can understand to be a master in all these other professions. But then when it comes to marriage, you act like you don't understand what a master is. And even in golf, they got a whole program in golf called the Masters. And why is it called the Masters? Because it's the best golfers in the world. And when you become a master of your own house, a master of your wife, what that is saying is that now you can master the whole house, the purpose in which Yahweh even made you for. Because you raised up as a little child, as a little boy, then you come up as a teenager, and then all of a sudden, now it's time for you to be a master. Because you should have learned all these truths, all this knowledge, this essence of life, this purpose of marriage while you was being raised, while you were being trained, while you were being reared, so that when you found your wife, you knew exactly what to do. And what was that? To be fruitful. What was that? To multiply. What was that? To fill the earth. This is and was and will be your greatest blessing or your greatest downfall. And why? Because this is the essence of life. Watch what it says in the book of Genesis, the 28th chapter. Here it is. You only can have two things: life or death, blessing or cursing. And you're going to see what a blessing is. And if that's not your blessing, then all you have is some type of reproach or curse. Watch what it says in the book of Genesis, the 28th chapter. The very first verse. And Isaac called Yaakov, because Yaakov was his son, and blessed him, and charged him, and said to him, you shall not take a wife of the daughters of Canaan. Because as I stated, once you begin to go down this slippery slope and take someone and marry someone that does not please Yahweh, what sense do we have? And now the whole order of life is out of course. Arise, go to Padam Aram, to the house of Bethuel, your mother's father, and take you a wife from there of the daughters of Laban, your mother's brother. And Elohim Almighty bless you and make you fruitful and multiply you, that you may be a multitude of people, and give you the blessing of Abraham to you and to your seed with you, that you may inherit the land wherein you are a stranger, which Elohim gave to Abraham. So you see, this is your blessing that you was blessed with. If this is your father's blessing and your father is Jacob, then what in the world do you think your blessing is? Also, in the book of Genesis 35, turn there. In the book of Genesis 35, watch what the Creator tell Jacob. The 9th verse. 35 and 9. And Elohim appeared unto Yaakov again when he came out of Padam Aram and blessed him. You notice it's always starting off with blessing him. Just like in Genesis, the 1st chapter, it said he blessed them and said, be fruitful, multiply, and fill the earth. And Elohim said unto him, your name is Yaakov. Your name shall not be called anymore Yaakov, but YIsraEL shall be your name. And he called his name YIsraEL. And Elohim said unto him, I am El Shaddai, Elohim Almighty. Be fruitful and multiply. A nation and a company of nations shall be of you, and kings shall come out of your loins. And who don't want that? But somebody who's brainwashed. I only want one, I only want two, and they'd be like them little birds that get swallowed up, like them little turtles that get swallowed up. Then what you have? You don't have nothing. Because you didn't even realize the importance of increasing. And we have allowed captivity our enemies to brainwash us. But you don't have to be brainwashed no more. You can keep the way of Yahweh. You can fulfill the purpose of marriage. All you got to do is, first of all, you got to find that good thing. Second of all, you got to become one. Third, be fruitful as much as you can. Sow your seed. Multiply. And then fill the earth. Genesis 48. Let's see what it says there about the purpose of marriage. Let's see how we have allowed ourselves to become vain, how we have allowed ourselves to become of nothing, to decrease, corrupted in the earth. We are part of the problem and not the solution in the earth. Did not Yahweh say the whole earth is defiled under the inhabitants thereof? This is why. Genesis 48, the first verse. And it came to pass after these things that one told Joseph, behold, your father is sick. And he took with him 2 sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. And one told Yaakov and said, behold, your son Joseph comes to you. Why? Because his father is sick. And let's see. Let's see what he give his son. Let's see if he hand his son inheritance of money. Let's see if he leave his son inheritance of gold or rubies and diamonds. No, let me show you how he blessed his son. Watch this. Second verse. And one told Yaakov and said, behold, your son Joseph comes to you. And Israel strengthened himself and sat upon the bed. And Jacob said to Joseph, Elohim Almighty appeared to me at Luz in the land of Canaan and blessed me and said to me, behold, I will make you fruitful and multiply you, and I will make of you a multitude of people, and will give this land to your seed after you for an everlasting possession. And now your 2 sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, which were born to you in the land of Egypt, before I came to you in Egypt, are mine. As Reuben and Simeon, they shall be mine. And your offspring, which you beget after them, shall be yours, and shall be called after the name of their brothers in their inheritance. And as for me, when I came from Padan, Rachel died by me in the land of Canaan in the way, which was his mother, which was Joseph's mother, when yet there was but a little way to come to Ephratah or Ephrath. And I buried her there in the way of Ephrath, the same as Bethlehem. And Israel saw Joseph's son and said, who are these? And Joseph said to his father, they are my sons, whom Elohim has given me in this place. And he said, bring them, I pray you, to me, and I will bless them. Now the eyes of Israel was dim for age, so that he could not see. And he brought them near to him, and kissed them, and embraced them. And Israel said to Joseph, I had not thought to see your face. And behold, Elohim has shown me also your seed. And Joseph brought them out from between his knees. He bowed himself with his face to the earth. And Joseph took them both, Ephraim in his right hand toward Israel's left hand, Manasseh in his left hand toward Israel right hand and brought them near to him. And Israel stretched out his right hand, laid it upon Ephraim's head, who was the younger, and his left hand upon Manasseh's head, guiding his hands wittily, for Manasseh was the firstborn. And he blessed Joseph and said, Elohim, before whom my fathers Abraham and Isaac did walk, the Elohim which fed me all my life long until this day, the angel which redeemed me from all evil, bless the lads, and let my name be named on them, and the name of my fathers, Abraham and Isaac, and let them grow into a multitude in the midst of the earth. Now you see the blessing? And when Joseph saw that his father laid his right hand upon the head of Ephraim, it displeased him. And he held up his father's hand to remove it from Ephraim's head to Manasseh's head. Because sometimes your wives going to think you're stupid, but you're not. Your children going to think you're stupid, but you're not. Other people going to think you're stupid, but you're not. You just old. But make no mistake about it. You got wisdom. And watch what it says. And Joseph said to his father, not so, my father, for this is the firstborn. Put your right hand upon his head. And his father refused and said, I know it, my son. I know it. He also shall become a people. He also shall be great. But truly, his younger brother shall be greater than he, and his seed shall become a multitude of nations. And he blessed them that day, saying, in you shall Israel bless, saying, Elohim make you as Ephraim and as Manasseh. And he set Ephraim before Manasseh. And why? Because he knew better. And Israel said to Joseph, before I die, or behold, I die, but Elohim shall be with you and bring you again to the land of your fathers. Moreover, I have given you one portion above your brothers, which I took out of the hand of the Amorite with my sword and with my bow. I gave you an extra portion. And why was he able to do that? Because he was the master. And that's what the master can do. Even though the firstborn supposed to go first. But the master knows through the Most High the rights and the wrongs of the things he need to do with his family. And this is what we got to learn. Also in Genesis 49, talking about the purpose of marriage. Is it not to be fruitful? Is it not to multiply? Is it not to fill the earth? 3, 4, and 5. Yes, there's 7 purposes. And we're dealing with 3, 4, and 5. Genesis 49. Watch what it says about yourself. We just read the portion that he was given with Ephraim and Manasseh. And Yahweh said, I done gave you a portion above your brethren. And no wonder he did. Because watch what it says in Genesis 49 and 22. Yosef is a fruitful bow, even a fruitful bow by a well, whose branches run over the wall. Here it is. You get branches going over the wall today, they just cut them down, People complain about them. Man, your trees growing over in my yard. Well, that's how Yosef trees were, because they were fruitful boughs. The archers have greatly grieved him and shot at him and hated him, because this is how he grew up. But his bow stayed in strength, and the arms of his hand were made strong by the hands of the mighty Elohim of Yaakov. Even by the Elohim of your father, who shall help you, and by the Almighty, who shall bless you with the blessings of heaven above, the blessings of the deep that lies under, the blessing of the breast and of the womb. The blessings of your father have prevailed above the blessings of my progenitors to the utmost bound of the everlasting hills. They shall be on the head of yourself and on the crown of the head of him that was separated from his brothers. That was his blessing. Children, that was his blessing, to be fruitful, to multiply, and even fill the earth. And this also will be your blessing if you just humble yourself and hearken unto the Most High. You don't have to have all this strife and debate in your marriage. If you learn the essence and the purpose of marriage, you don't got time to be worried about nothing else if you're trying to fulfill your purpose. That's what you should be trying to do. Watch what Yahweh called a blessing in the book of Leviticus, the 26th chapter. Watch what the Creator lets us know. The third verse. Leviticus 26:3. If you walk in my statutes, keep my commandments, and do them, then I will give you rain in due season. The land shall yield her increase, and the trees of the field shall yield their fruit. Your threshings shall reach to vintage. The vintage shall reach unto sowing time, and you shall eat your bread to the full and dwell in your land safely, because once you become corrupt, you think Yahweh going to give you these blessings? No. The only reason we beggars today is because we've become corrupt. Watch what it says. And I will give you peace in the land, and you shall lie down, and none shall make you afraid. And I will rid evil beasts out of your land. Neither shall the sword go through your land. You shall chase your enemies. They shall fall before you by the sword. 5 of you shall chase 100. 100 of you shall put 10,000 to flight. Your enemies shall fall before you by the sword. And watch this 9th verse. For I will have respect unto you. And when Yahweh have respect unto you, watch what happens. For I will have respect unto you and make you fruitful and multiply you and establish my covenant with you. That's what will happen if you walk in his statutes, if you keep his commandments and do them. Also, in the book of Jeremiah, the 23rd chapter, and we're talking about the purpose of marriage. 3, 4, and 5. Because we know what the third represents. It represents Yahweh's servant that will speak in his name. No wonder it's essential to be fruitful. Because his servant is going to labor and work in Yahweh. Whether that's being fruitful to have a family, being fruitful for the land, being fruitful in the waters, the sea, being fruitful. It's all about your service to Yahweh. And number 4 is to multiply. Because what sense does it make to be fruitful and you don't have nothing to bring to Yahweh? What sense does it make not to be fruitful and then you still don't have nothing to bring to Yahweh, to offer to him? And then to fill the earth. How can you enjoy the fruit of your hand, the fruit of your body, the fruit of anything, and you don't even have it in the earth? And that's another trick of the enemy. They want you to believe that one day you're going to die. And then, once you die, then you will receive the fruits of your labor. What kind of sense do that make? I'm going to die, and I've been living my whole life to go to heaven. Well, why just go through all this and let me just kill myself, blow my brains out, and just go to heaven? Since heaven that good. And that's the reward of living, to go to heaven. Just blow my brains out, and then I just go straight to heaven. But no, that makes no kind of sense at all. If you want to enjoy the fruits of your labor, you got to live. You got to work. You got to labor. And those fruits is going to be on earth. Jeremiah 23. Watch what it says. The first verse. Woe be unto the pastors that destroy and scatter the sheep of my pastors, says Yahweh, because Yahweh don't like this. This is a curse. This is not good. Therefore, thus says Yahweh, Elohim of Israel, against the pastors that feed my people. You scattered my flock, have driven them away, and have not visited them. Behold, I will visit you. I will visit upon you the evil of your doings, says Yahweh. And watch this third verse. And I will gather the remnant of my flock out of all the countries where I have driven them, and will bring them again to their folds. And what will Yahweh do? And they shall be fruitful and increase. Now ask yourself, will you be the recipient of this blessing? I know the doctors told you you can't have no babies. I know society told you you too old. I know the world is telling you just kill the baby, cut off your seed. But Yahweh said, when he gather our people and take us back, we're going to be fruitful and increase. Because Yahweh want a big flock. He don't want this little flock that's going on today. No, he want a big flock. But he want a flock that is not going to break the everlasting covenant. That's not going to change the everlasting ordinance. That's not going to break his law. Because this is what's going on in the earth today. Watch what it says. Psalms 1. Psalms 1. The purpose of marriage. 3, 4, and 5. As Mowreh Napthtali said, you got to bring forth. And how you going to bring forth sitting there watching the soap operas all day long? How you going to bring forth sitting there drinking and smoking all day long? That's not bringing forth at all. Where is your labor in Yahweh? Where is your work in Yahweh? Where is the word of life that Yahweh blessed you with? In the book of Psalms 1, watch the blessings of Yahweh. This is how you know you're blessed. Psalms 1:1, blessed is the man that walks not in the counsel of the wicked. And we know what the counsel of the wicked is. People telling you all kind of stuff that's not in the word of Yahweh. It's not even in the book. Telling you all kind of things that will take you away from Yahweh instead of bring you near Yahweh. Nor stand in the way of sinners. You know people sinning, but you're going to stand in their way, in their path. Nor sits in the seat of the scornful, sitting down, listening to this mess, justifying this foolishness. Second verse, but his delight is in the law of Yahweh. And in his law does he meditate day and night. And once you're able to meditate day and night, once you're able to separate yourself from wicked counsel, standing in the way of sinners, sitting in the seat of scornful, once you have the courage, the strength, the boldness to say, no more am I going to do this, and begin to delight in the law of Yahweh, meditate day and night in his law, let me show you what's going to happen. The third verse. And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water that brings forth his fruit in his season. His leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he does shall prosper. That's what you're going to be like a tree, like a plant, like something that truly bring it forth. And one of the last scriptures that I want to bring to you is in the book of Psalms 128. Let us turn there. The purpose of marriage. Don't stop being fruitful. Even if you're not multiplying, don't stop being fruitful. Because who knows the purposes of Yahweh? Is anything too hard for Yahweh? In the book of Psalms 128, the first verse, blessed is everyone that fears Yahweh, that walk in his ways. For you shall eat the labor of your hands. Happy shall you be, and it shall be well with you. And watch what it says. Since you're so blessed, because you walking in the ways of Yahweh. Since you're so blessed, you're going to eat the labor of your hands. Since you're so blessed, you're happy and things is going well with you. Watch the third verse. Your wife shall be as a fruitful vine by the sides of your house. Your children like olive plants round about your table. Behold, that thus shall the man be blessed that fears Yahweh. Yahweh shall bless you out of Zion, and you shall see the good of Jerusalem all the days of your life. Yes, you shall see your children's children, and peace upon Israel. The purpose of marriage. This is the essence of life. And we got 2 more to go. So until tomorrow, Yahweh love you, and so do I. Shalom.
Yeah. No Elohims have given his children salvation. Yahweh has said that Israel